What up, besties? I'm back. Oh, and Leia's gonna join us today. Are you gonna join us? Then you gotta lay down. I have coffee here. Okay, we're doing this. We're gonna have to put the coffee down. Anyways, welcome back to my channel. I am Caitlin. I am an indie romantasy author. Rude. Relax. No. Anyways, I'm Caitlin. I'm an indie romantasy author, and I'm here today to talk about my second book, Queen of the Crimson Throne, that came out 1 week ago. Here she is right here. Here's Queen of the Crimson Throne, my second baby. She is the second book in the Queen of Stardust series, and today we're having a very spoilery little chat about Queen of the Crimson Throne. So, if you've not read Queen of the Crimson Throne and you don't want spoilers, do not watch this video. Come back after you finish this book, because this book is this video is going to be completely full of spoilers of Queen of the Crimson Throne. So, I did put out a little, what do you want me to talk about? We're not doing this, Leia. And there are already things that I was going to talk about, so yeah, we're going to get to them. I have notes of things that I want to talk about, and then that's including the things that you guys wanted me to talk about, which always tell me, what do you want me to make videos on? This one I put out specifically that I was going to be making the spoiler video and asked for things that I needed to own up to. The ending being one of them. That was a common answer, and I already had that on here to talk about because I know you guys are upset about the ending. We'll get to that. That's going to be the last thing we talk about. But first, we're going to start and talk about one of my favorite parts that I was super excited about with this book. And then just seeing everybody else's reactions to it has just made me so incredibly happy. And that is Nico. All right, see, now Leia is fine. She's gonna go chill out now. But yeah, Nico. So let's talk about Nico. Nico is a character that I love. He's one of my favorites, and he has been from the initial drafting stages, because I knew his character, obviously. We're not doing this, Leia. I knew all of what his character was going to be, but you guys didn't. And in book one, you got just kind of like a little bit of a snippet of him. You didn't get his full personality. You just got a little bit of it, in the second half of the book. We only got really a few scenes with him, and we get so much more of him in Queen of the Crimson Throne. And the reader reactions to Nico has been giving me life, honestly, because he's just so fun to write. It's so fun to be in his head, and it's just so fun to be in his voice, and just he's comedic relief, but he's more than comedic relief, because he does have way more into him, and he does have certain things that are going to come out and drive the plot. He's not just a comedic side character, even if that is what it seems like. He has so much more to him, and he's just, I love him. He is inspired by Seth Capella from So He Had Me, which I've said many times, and like, Seth Capella isn't even like a favorite character of mine, but just like, he's funny. And he's like, I don't even know how to describe Seth, but like, when I was writing this wolf character, and I was like, it's going to be inspired by Seth Capella. I wanted my own version of a Seth Capella. And Nico became that, like, but it got to the point where it's like, I sometimes would forget that he was inspired by Seth Capella, because he is his own character. He is Nico. He's Nico Elsher. He's not Seth Capella. He is Nico. He's got his own little unique things. One of my favorite things about him in Queen of the Crimson Throne is just him and Lennox and their friendship that they develop. Because he's just like, I'm determined to make you my best friend. And Lennox is like, excuse me? And that's, kind of the start of their friendship that just continues to develop. And yeah, Nico's just kind of friends with everybody, and like, you get to see more of his and, I feel like I have dog hair everywhere. His and Luca's friendship, which is also just a really strong friendship, because Nico and Luca's friendship is very different from Declan and Luca's friendship, because they're two very different characters, just like how Declan and Lennox's friendship is very different from Nico and Lennox's friendship, because they're just different characters, and they, those friendships are filled in different ways. But Nico is just one of my favorite parts about this book, and just seeing that readers love him so much, I like all the reactions of like, oh my gosh, Nico is everything. Like, even my friend just texted me last night, she's like, Nico is my favorite. Like, yes, he's my favorite too. Like, I just love all the Nico love. Because he's so fun, and I just love him so much. So that's been one of my favorite things. And then let's get a little bit into Nico and Luciana. I think a lot of you, I initially thought after book 1, when I talked about the spin-off duets, it'll go after the, so Queen of Blood and Stardust series is 3 books, and then there'll be spin-off duets based off of different side characters. I think a lot of you initially were thinking that the first spin-off would be Declan and Kara. It's not going to be Declan and Kara, if that was not made clear by Queen of the Crimson Throne. The first spin-off duet will be Luciana and Nico. Clearly. I feel like I made that pretty clear. Are they going to be together in this book? That we don't know. But it's going to follow their stories, where it's leading, which book 3 sets up for even more. But just Nico and Luciana, you're getting to see a little bit more of them, because they had like a little moment back in book 1. We didn't really get to see any of that. Maybe, that might be a good bonus chapter that I should write. I should do that. That would be fun. Anyways, join my street team and you can get access to these bonus chapters that I do write. But where was I going with this? Nico and Luciana. So we get a little bit of them in book 1, but in book 2, they're thrown together more, and you get to kind of see their dynamic. Like, Nico, he is crushing on Luciana, and Luce is like, you're not my type. No. Luce just doesn't think about anything romantically at all, ever, really. She's got other things she's working on. She's not worrying about romance at all. Like, not even a little bit. Which would be a whole thing. But anyways, so I just love like their little interactions, and if I'm being honest, they were not initially going to be a couple that I was going to push together. And then it started happening. Like, I just like their relationship, whatever it is, kind of formed on their own as I was writing, and I was like, okay, wait a minute. I think these two are going to go together really well. And like that's the kind of the thing about like the first 3 books are just focusing on Lennox and Luca. And like I have ideas obviously for the spin-offs, but I'm very much like a go with the flow plotter. And so just writing to be like, okay, maybe this isn't actually going to be how I thought it was going to be. So that's kind of even how Luce and Nico's relationship kind of started. But from book 1, I kind of figured that out. But that they were going to be together, friendship. Are they going to be more than friends? I don't know. We'll guess to wait and see, because the plot could change. Maybe I'll switch it up and throw out a completely different character for one of them to end up with. Who knows? You never know. Anyways, so yeah, Nico and Luce was really fun to write, and then also just Luciana's POV, getting your guys' thoughts on that. I was really nervous about that because it is a new POV that's not like super like involved in the plot, but how that came about was I was stuck. I was kind of in this place of like, how do I get this plot to continue to develop without it like slowing the pace and being too disjointed? And I was stuck. And so I was like, why don't I just try writing in Luce's POV, going back to the Mystic Court, obviously, and to see what happens. I might take it out later. And I really liked writing in her POV, and I thought it worked really well. And so like when it felt appropriate, I put it in a different spot to kind of see like I could easily switch this out or I could keep this. And the response from my beta readers was that it worked, and editors too, and so I kept it. And I'm really glad I did, because I just think it adds more to the story. And obviously it did evolve more into it being more plot driven. Could I have still written them in different POVs? Yes, but I think it adds more to the book, getting her POV and getting in her head, and also get to see more of her and Nico, which is fun. You just get to see more of other parts of Lithuania. Like you get to meet Katerina, get to meet her mom, you get to get more into what's going on in Luce's head, and just get like a bigger picture of the world, which I really liked being able to incorporate in this book. We are going to continue to get Luce's POV in book 3. There might also be additional POVs. One for sure is staying. Another one I'm questionable if I'm keeping it or not. We'll see what betas think. But we're getting even more POVs in book 3. So yeah, but Luce is also going to be in there, and we really get to dive more into her in book 3. But yeah, I was just really excited to see those two together, and just your guys' positive feedback on those two, because I love them so much. And all the side characters, like there's been so much love for all the side characters, but those are definitely the two that have gotten the most love, which makes more sense because we get more of them. But one other thing with the side character, I also want to talk about Declan, and particularly Declan and, I almost said Kara, Declan and Lennox's scene on the balcony. That is a scene that I have had planned forever, like since I was first writing book 1. Like I knew that scene was going to happen, and I knew it had to be in book 2. Like I wanted it to be in book 1, but I just knew it wouldn't work. I needed it to be in book 2. And so finally getting to write that and just have Declan and Lennox finally have like a little moment, and then also just to share with everyone Declan's backstory. I love that scene. I have chills. Like, I just love that. And then the whole curse monologue kind of is one of my favorites. I love that scene. I love Lennox's thought process through that of, I should have it out and read it because I love that part so much. If, you know, like, I need to figure out, like, are my wings a blessing or a curse? Trying to figure out if Luca is a blessing or a curse. And her saying, like, Luca is weaved into the fiber by being, you know, he's not like a curse, but like the word curse isn't proper for that. I'll find it later and maybe read it too, but I love that scene. That was one of my favorites in the entire book. And I was just so excited to finally get to read it. It was just emotional, talking about, like, finally writing Declan's backstory. I can finally get my coffee now that Leia's not over here trying to spell it. Because he has a not so great backstory, and I think it just kind of gives a better perspective into him as to why he is quieter, more reserved. He's been through some stuff, some not so great stuff. Bergen Hale was not a great father to him, not at all. So yeah, Declan is very unique. There's a reason why he's the only winged male, because he is the only one. He is the only one. Yeah, so that was really fun scene to write. I have a couple other scenes that were my favorites to write. One of them was the door scene, chapter 6, and I now know that it is chapter 6 because I was yelled at about chapter 6 by many people, which I loved. I just feel like it really set the tone for the entire book, it being so early. And the fact that their reunion was Lennox slamming a door in Luca's face and them talking through a door. As Luca would say, talking to her through a door like a whimpering idiot. Love that for them. That scene was also planned for a very long time. It just felt very Lennox for her to not even be able to look at him because she just knew it might crumble her resolve. Clearly, because when she first sees him, you know, she forgets for a minute that she's not supposed to be happy to see him. You know, she has that initial reaction of like, it's him, and then she remembers, you know, and he sees that. And it's a devastating moment, but I love that moment. I love that entire scene. That is the loss of my life scene. One of my beta readers pointed out there, she was like, it's literally saying, don't you recall how we almost had it all? And I have not been the same since then. That is the scene I've been talking about. That is the scene. It's devastating to make that realization. It's devastating. I wrote that scene before the Torture Poets Department was out, okay? I also wrote this book before I'm Gonna Get You Back was a song. So do I think Taylor Swift was living in my brain? Maybe. She knew Lennox and Luca's story, and she knew that they needed this album. Knew that I needed this album. So I wrote it first. Taylor probably wrote it first, but I didn't hear it. We were both in the same wavelength. We're thinking the same things. Anyways, yeah, so that was another one of my favorite scenes. And then the other one is the nightmare scene. I have said this on a couple occasions, but I am a Hunger Games girly, have been since I read all 3 of the books in like 1 week when I was 15 years old when I discovered them, and I read them all immediately, and my entire brain chemistry was altered after that moment. I've been obsessed with Hunger Games ever since then. Like, I still consider Catching Fire to be one of my favorite books. Up until I got into reading into fantasy, I consider Catching Fire my favorite book, so it's still up there. That book is phenomenal. I love that book so much. But my obsession with nightmare scenes came from the Hunger Games, obviously. Peeta and Katniss stay with me always. Alter my brain chemistry. That is why I'm obsessed with nightmare scenes, okay? That is why there was a nightmare scene in book 1, and that was why this nightmare scene I had planned. Since the original plotting. This nightmare scene was planned where Lennox needs something to get through the night that her parents were unalived, like the 3-year anniversary, and she goes to Luca and just crawls into bed with him just because she needs him. And then, yeah, that nightmare scene was, I love that one so much, and that just, I feel like it was a huge catalyst for Lennox. And then also, kind of going on the Hunger Games little spiel here. I can't talk today, apparently. The moment where we get, how does it start? But I regret, like, not asking you to stay. Lennox tells Luca, and then she says, you know, I was afraid that you might say yes, afraid that you might say no. And then he says, you know, well, you can ask me again when you're ready. That is also, I didn't realize till later that is also Hunger Games coded. Stay With Me Always, that is also Hunger Games coded. So there's that too. I love that scene. That is one of my favorite scenes also. Just, I love like Lennox when she's letting him in these little vulnerable moments. And that's another thing that I love about this book is just Lennox's character growth. Like, she's still true to who she is, but she's letting herself, you know, open up, and she's growing, and just like seeing these little moments where she really like lets herself feel and just kind of lets herself just kind of give in a little bit, but not giving up herself. I love that for her. We also love that Luca is the king of setting boundaries in this book. We love that. We love that for him. We love a king that sets boundaries. We love that. So yeah, those are some of my favorites. And then, okay, we're really gonna get into it. My coffee's gonna get cold because I'm yapping so much. The wedding scene. The wedding scene is the scene that is basically every single choice that's been made throughout book 1, book 2 was to get to the wedding scene. That is, everything has been leading up to this point. That was the catalyst of this entire romantic plotline, was getting to the point where Luca was going to give Lennox the choice. Do you want to marry me tonight or tomorrow? Like, giving her back that little semblance of choice. Will you marry me now or you marry me tomorrow? The entire series of the romantic plotline was written up to that point. So getting to write that, you guys, you can be mad at me for something, but I gave you 2 wedding scenes. 2. Okay? You can be mad at me, but also remember I gave you 2 wedding scenes, and I think the first one is pretty wonderful. The balcony scene. Ugh. I love, yeah. The romantic plotline was leading up to that point. So there's that for you. I hope you enjoyed it because I love that scene. Yeah. Also, I'm going to be sharing this now after this video comes out, but on social media, the art print that I have by Mickey of the hands. That has been a spoiler for book 2 since I commissioned it last April. The marriage mark on their hand is very clear. So I don't know if anybody's picked up on that since they read the book now, but I'm going to be posting that on Monday to be like, hey, you see this? That was a spoiler the entire time. You just didn't know it. So there's that. I love their marriage mark. That one doesn't have the mate mark on it, but has the marriage mark, so let's get to the ending. I am so incredibly proud of the ending of this book. Something I questioned a lot with Queen of Blood and Stardust was like the ending was not climactic enough, like it wasn't long enough, like it wasn't like beefy enough, you know? And so we came into this book and it was like, you know what? You said it wasn't enough? Let me give you enough. And I think it was enough. It is basically from like the 75% on mark is like this climactic ending. Yes, we have like some nice sweet moments in there. Like we have a little bit of reprieve, but then it's like you still know shit is going to go down because there's still a lot of book left. And this ending, fun fact, you guys are the first ones to hear this. I'm taking this out. When I originally plotted this, like from book 1, when I was originally plotting where the books were going to end, book 2 was going to end with Kara being taken. That was going to be the end of book 2. And then after I finished writing book 1, I was really getting into plotting out book 2. I had this idea and I thought, wait, because it was going to be, end of book 2 would be Kara getting captured, and then start of book 1 would be Lennox sacrificing herself for Lennox, and then they have to get Lennox back. Like that was still going to happen, but it was going to happen in the beginning of book 3. And then I had this thought and I thought, but wait, what if we end book 2 with Lennox being captured? What if we did that? What if I left my readers on that really, really big cliffhanger? Wouldn't that be something? And I thought, yeah, that's really mean. I don't know if I can do that. And then I did it. And writing the ending, I avoided it. I have videos of me avoiding it for like hours, and then I wrote it, and I was emotionally wrecked afterwards. I still have cried reading the ending. It's very emotional. It's a lot, but I love it. I am obsessed with it. I'm extremely proud of it. I know it hurts, but that means it's good, okay? The hurt means it's good. The hurt means it's good, okay? And it's just, I needed that to happen. I needed Lennox to give herself up and then for the mating bond to finally snap into place. and for her to sit with it and say, okay, I'm actually going to fight with this and I'm going to get myself out of here. Like, I needed that to happen because it's just like a really reaffirming moment for Lennox of like, no, I actually do have something to fight for, of getting out of here, which is a really big moment for her. And we love that for her. We love that growth. But I'm sorry, but I would do it again. Okay? I'm sorry, but I would do it again. I don't know. I love how it turned out. Yeah, and the mating month snapping into place was something I had planned, like, obviously, for a long time. It was all going to be based off of Lennox finally saying that she loved Luca, which is a big moment for her, and just her not being able to say it to him in person, but when he is passed out, we love that. For her being like, tell him that I love him, and Declan saying, no, you're gonna tell him. I'm sorry, but I love that shit. I eat that shit up. I'm here for it, okay? So, I know it hurt. I'm sorry. There will be a reunion, okay? There will be a reunion. So just look forward to that. It just might take a while to get there, but there will be a reunion, okay? So just sleep well knowing that. And that book 3 is with my beta readers right now. It is a massive steaming pile of garbage right now. But the beginning part, we got that beginning part. The ending part is a disaster. Not a worry for now. A couple more weeks, that's a worry. But yeah, the ending, yeah. I really hope you guys can just like take a step back and be like, okay, I understand why Caitlin had to do that. I'm so mad at her for breaking my heart, but I understand. Because I'm a huge fan of cliffhanger endings like that. And so I love the emotional devastation, and I was just really glad that I was able to achieve that and that ending hit. And to those of you that did not realize that this was not a duology, I am so incredibly sorry. I'm so sorry. That was never my intention. I've always said this is a series. I've never said it's a duet. And I know I was never super clear, like it's 3 books. But when I say series, I kind of hope you assume that it's more than 2 books. But I'm so sorry. For those of you, even my editor, she didn't realize. She messaged me, she's like, why did I think this was a duology? When she read it for the first time. So there's been many of you, and I'm so sorry. I deeply apologize for that. So to make clear, this is a 3-book series. It will end with a happy ending. What that happy ending looks like, I don't know yet. Maybe I know, maybe you don't know. But it just might be really, really rough getting there. So, but just look forward to a reunion, okay? It'll be worth it, I promise. Anyways, that's kind of all I had for this. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this little spoilery chat. Again, let me know anything else you want me to talk about, like maybe more scenes you want me to go in deeper with. Yeah, I've just been so overjoyed seeing your guys' love for Crimson Throne. Like, sorry, I got a little cold here. I'm sniffly. Seeing your guys' love for this book has just reaffirmed everything in me. Like, I love this book so much, and just seeing other people love it and appreciate it, it just makes my little author heart so incredibly happy, and I'm just so thankful for all of you that have read it. And if you haven't read it, why are you watching this video? You just spoiled the entire book for you, but please go read it and then come back here. But yeah, just thank you for reading and supporting me and loving on Crimson Throne and these characters. I love you so much. Yeah, thank you for everything. Thank you for a wonderful release week. Yeah. I love you all so much. Until stars turn to dust.